let me just basically show you guys how to work with password in PHP today. And this is just basically what we're going to be building in the video. So for instance, we can go ahead and then it kind of fill this form out right here. So if I enter a password and also enter a password right here, let's say that the two passwords do not actually match. If I try to submit, it's going to just basically report an error. Let's hit in here. It's going to tell me that the password must be at least 8 characters and must contain one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, a number, and even a special character. So I think what I'm going to do right now is just basically open up the code so that when I'm typing right here, I want to change that to text so that you can see what I'm really typing. So let's do that right now. If I go to here, let me open up this folder and I want to open that up with my Visual Studio Code. And let's change the text right here. Instead of calling this password, let's go ahead and just call that text. Of course, we're going to change it back to password later because that's just what is really recommended. So let's go back in here. I want to refresh, and if I do something like code, maybe kinder, and let's say we'll do the same thing right here. And notice that we did start this with uppercase letters, right here, but if you count that 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, this is beyond 8 characters, which is just basically fine. We've passed two things right here. We are able to use an uppercase letter and also have more than 8 characters, which should just basically go through. But since we do not have a number, we don't have any number right here, and then we don't have special characters, it's still going to fail. So let's hit on submit. You see that it also failed, right? If we try to, if we pass every other thing and also add a number, what would not a kind of a add, let's say something like a special character right here. So there is no special characters. If you take a look at that very well, and then we try to submit, it's still going to fail again. You see that it failed, all right? In a situation where we are able to maybe enter all of these as the password, and then we still entered a special character right here. So I'm going to do, let's make sure we do the same thing. And let's go ahead and enter just the same thing we have up here. That's what we have in here. That means that we passed everything. We were able to have an uppercase letter. The number of characters here is just beyond 8 characters, and then we also have number, we have special characters, and the same thing is what we have down here. So it's going to pass this time around. So if I hit on submit, you see that we get password is validated and securely hashed. All right, so that's just basically what I want to build. So sometimes you may even have all of those things, but what if the two passwords don't match? So let's try to check for that. So it's going to be code kinder 1 2 3, and I'm going to put this as it is right there, and I want to change this special character or just any other thing right here. Maybe I'm going to just change 1 to 0 right here. You see that the two do not actually match. But if you take a look at the number of characters are the same, we did have a special character and just things of that nature. But the only thing in there is that if it compares the two passwords right here, it's going to see that there is a 0 here, but what we have here is a 1. So if you hit on submit, it's going to tell you that the password do not match. So that's just basically what I'm just trying to let us learn how to do in this video. You can use JavaScript to do this, but what if in a situation where maybe JavaScript is disabled in the device that is used to view your application or to log into your application? We want something like a server-side script to just take over. All right, that's just basically what I'm trying to get at. So what I want to do now is if we go back in here, I want to return this, save the changes, and I want to close that out. So let's create a new folder for what we want to do now. And if we hit in here, and let's call this password, and I want to open that up with my Visual Studio Code. So right click on that, and I'm going to just basically open that up with my editor. So let me create my first file in here, and I'm going to just basically call that index.php, and that's just basically what I want to use. So I want to generate the HTML boilerplate. So if I put exclamation and then hit tab, it's going to generate this for me. If you don't have a meet, you can just pause the video and type that out. So I'm just do password validation and PHP, and that's just basically what that is. So I want to create a div right here. This is going to be div, and I'm going to give this a class, and I'm going to just call this form dash box, and I want to just basically close that out right here. So within this div right here, what I want to do is to create my form inside of it. So to do that, I'm going to just do form. When I hit tab, it's going to generate this for me. And within here, what I want to do, I'm going to create some fields in here, but let me give this a method first. So this is going to be a method, set that to be equal to, and I want to use post method. So it's going to be post. And within this place, I want to first of all create my label. So this becomes label, and let's call this password. Of course, this is going to be the first password right here. I want to just basically create one password field for now. We're going to just include the other ones at a later time. So I'm going to just do input, hit on tab. It's going to generate this for me, and basically I'm going to just leave it at text for now. We're going to change it to password at a later time. So we're going to need a name, and let's say that the name is actually going to be password. Sorry about that. So let's call this pass word, and I wouldn't like something like autocomplete on this page. So if I do autocomplete, I want to set that off. So this is just basically going to be set to off for the password field. And then the last thing we're going to need is a submit button. So if I do input right here, and let's change this to the type is going to be submit, and I want to have, there's no need for a name, but we can have a value. So this becomes value, set that to be equal to, and that's going to be, we're going to just call that submit. That's the text people will see. So let's save the changes right here. And then I want to see that in my browser. I want to copy this and open a new tab, paste that, and let's change this to password. Open that up, and this is the form we've created so far. Now, what I want to do is to just copy and paste the CSS so that we can push the content to the center of the web page. I'm not going to pay attention to the beauty right here, so that's why I'm not going to just bother myself trying to type out all of the CSS. So just do bear with me, guys. Alright, so I do have the CSS copied to the clipboard, and I want to include it at within the head region of my application. And of course, if this was a production application, what you need to do is to create a folder for the CSS and then create a file, maybe something like style.css, and then put the CSS code right there. But it's just a tutorial I want to just kind of do today, so I'm just basically going to put it right here. So let's paste that, and I just created a new tag called style right here. That's the closing, and this is the opening right here. So if you create that, you can just go ahead and put all of the CSS inside of that. So this is going to be, this is for the body, and this is the style right here. And for the form box that we just created, this is the style for that right there. Then the label is right here, and this one is actually here. Now what I want to do, I want to duplicate this. I want to copy this, introduce a comma right here, just because as we have something like text right now into that of the input field for the password, I want it to just look nice. All right, the style, I just want it to be like something like 90% of that particular web page. So that's it, guys. So we do have this to check for the error, this is for success, and this is for the submit button. Let me add one more thing here. Let me just do cursor, change that to a pointer, so that when you bring your mouse button close to the submit button, I want it to change to something that looks like that of a human hand. Let's refresh right here, and this is how it's looking so far. So bring your mouse cursor close to it, it's going to look like this. And then if you type anything in here, you're going to just basically be seeing that because we set that to text. That's cool. Now if we go back to our development environment, we're gonna duplicate this at a later time, but for now let's just focus on the main input field, which is the password. I want to process this form within this page. So let's throw in our PHP tags in here, and this gets what's happening right there. Okay, so we just basically want to take this needs to be this way, and then this is going to be PHP this way, and we can close that down here, and that should just be it. Now what I want to do is, if someone gets into this web page, I want to make sure that they get in here through a post request, so that when they click on this, I will be sure that I'm just getting a post method in here. If you want to do that, let's check for post right here. I'm going to just do if, and I'm going to just use server global variable to do this. You can use something like post if you want to do that. That's fine. So I'm going to just do $_server, and I'm just basically going to throw in my, this is going to be request underscore method right here, and I want to make sure that I kind of check if this is really a post method. So I'm just basically going to set that to post right here. And what I want to do now is, if someone presses the submit button, I want to listen for a submit right here. So let's do echo, and let's say form submitted, just like that. Maybe successfully, you can just do that. So I'm going to save these changes right here. And what I want to do is, if we go back to the browser and I want to refresh here, then if I press the submit button and I get form submitted, so that means that I'm just really getting that as a post method in here. Nobody's just kind of getting in there through a get request. So that's fine. Now what I want to do is, let's comment this out. We're not going to need this. But getting down here, when someone types something into this form right here, I want to capture that. How do I do that? Let's do that with a post super global variable. So I'm going to do post, and to do that, if we want to like basically get what the person typed into the form, we're going to need the name attribute, which we created before now, and that's just basically this particular thing called the password right here. So we're going to just need that. I'm going to copy that name, and if we get in here, we want to paste that right here. All right. Now, when somebody types something into this place and tries to submit, I want to get what the person typed in. But in a situation where he typed nothing, I can set that to something like empty strings. So if you do that, let's use a null coalescing operator to do that. And that's just basically going to be this right here. So we can just basically set this to empty strings. So this becomes empty strings right here. We can go ahead and then basically a kind of a time this right here, and I would like to put this in a variable, so we can just put that in maybe something like password. All right, so that we will be making use of this password for whatever I want to do down as we move along, right? So this is it right here. So I believe that by this, if we if we echo this, every time someone types something into this place, we should be able to get that correctly. So let's refresh here. And let me say David 123, and then hit on submit. You see that will get David 123. If we change that to Adams, let's change that to Adams. Let's say this right there. They will hit on submit. We get just whatever the person typed into this form. All right, that's cool. All right, so now that we are getting that, so I want you to just forget this error you're seeing here. This is just coming from my VS Code. So the code doesn't actually have any errors as of this particular point. Now, since we're getting the password from the whatever the person is typing in from the form dynamically, the next thing we basically would like to do here is to just basically go ahead and then let's use something like a regular expression to define the pattern of the password that we want. And if we want to do that, what I'm going to do is maybe we're going to just basically start with what is it called? We're going to just start with maybe the length first of all, the length. So if we want to do that, we can just create a variable right here. Let me put a comment, maybe a multi-line comment in here, and just say maybe design the patterns for the password or something like. If you don't want to call these patterns, you can just maybe call it something like restrictions. All right. So let's do that right there. And maybe the first one we're going to just work on right now is maybe to decide, I'm going to just say decide the length. All right. This is going to be the length of the password. And if I want to do that, if I get down here, let me create a variable, and I'm going to just basically call that pattern, and I will set that to be equal to. So I'm just basically doing this just to basically teach you guys how this kind of works. So if you're working with something like a regular expression, most of the time, if you want to like kind of start a regular expression, we normally start that with this stuff right here. Of course, they're going to be strings. Let me put that in strings like that, and we can let's terminate that in case we forget that. All right, so this one means start from here and then end with here. I mean right here. All right. So within here, this is where we can now go on and then define the pattern that we want in our scripts. So we're going to need anchors, and the first anchor right here, I'm gonna just put this caret symbol right here. I don't know whether that's just called. I think that's an explanation anchor symbol right there. So we're gonna this is just basically an anchor, and we are just basically saying start from here. You grab start from here. This is the start of the string, and then we can also decide that the string should just kind of end somewhere. So that means that we're going to need another anchor called the $sign right here, just like this. So it means this is the start of the string, and then this is the end of the string right here. Now the pattern we want to kind of make use of is actually going to be to decide each character, right? So I'm just do dot, and I'm going to just throw in my curly brackets right here, and I'm going to just do it right here. And with this string that you are seeing right here, this pattern that we have just defined, it means that we're just basically going to allow like 8 characters alone in our pattern right here, or in our restriction. All right. So one more thing we can basically add right here is the Unicode. So if you want to add a Unicode right here, you can just enter a lowercase letter u right here. So I'm just talking about this type of thing. So this means UTF-8 like that. So that's just basically what I'm trying to include. So I'm going to do it in such a way that I will use lowercase letter these, and that's just what that is just setting that out to be. All right. So this becomes the pattern we can basically use right now, and let's experiment with that. So if we get down here, I'm going to just use an if statement to check for that, and in combination with something like a preg match. So let's say for instance in the first place it didn't match, So we're going to do if not preg underscore match, and this preg match is going to need two parameters. It's going to need this pattern, so I'm going to just copy that and paste right here, introduce a comma, and the next one is going to need is the password. So it's going to check for that right there. So let's put that in here, and that's just basically the two things in here. So we can do an echo. So I'm going to just do password is, that means it is not a kind of a match. Then let's add an else part right here. So I'm going to do else. We can just echo and do password is long enough. Let's do long enough right here. Let's save the changes right there. Put exclamations, save the changes. Then if we go back to here, I want to refresh. Then if I type, let's say we'll do David right here. David is clearly not long enough. It's not up to 8 characters. So if we hit on submit, you see that we get a password is too short. But in a situation, let's say we type, this is going to be code kinder, and code kinder I think is longer than 8 characters or just up to 8 characters. So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we hit on submit, we should get password is long enough. So let's hit on that. You see that we get password is long enough. So that's just what this particular pattern is just basically doing for us right here. And I hope you capture that, right? All right, so the next thing we could do now is, let's say I want to comment this. What I'm going to do is just copy this and then put it inside here, and we can just, what this means is we just tested for, I'll just say tested for what is it called, let's say length. That was just basically called the length, right? Let's call that password. Now I want to change this pattern, and what I want to check for this time around is just basically going to be for let's check for maybe something like digits. All right, so let me, you just pay attention to this regular expression right here. I'm gonna bring in my brackets in here within this place, and then within this place I will just do question mark, and I'm going to just do equal to, then I'm going to just do dot, and that's going to be asterisk like this, and I'm going to do a backslash. All right, so if I do a backslash and then put a d right here, this just basically going to help us be able to deal with that of the number. All right, so pay attention to what I've just done right here. So if you type a password and there is no number found within the password, it's going to just basically report an error. So here, let's say a digit, let's type that correctly. Say a digit is needed in your password, something like that. So down here we can just say a digit was found. That means you were able to type a digit. So I want to save the changes. Then if we get back right here and then we refresh, and let's say code kinder, and there is no digit in here. So if I hit on submit, you see that a digit is needed in your password. But if we do code kinder again, and I will do 1, 2, 3, and then hit on submit, you see that the digit was actually found. All right, that's how you can deal with the digit part of it. Now next one I want to do is, let's take a look. I'm going to just copy this and then put it right here, and this one is just basically going to be let's say tested for digits. All right, I'm just kind of putting these comments in case if you want to study this at a later time, it can help you kind of remember. All you need to do is you just carry these things and then plug them right here and then test them out. All right, so the next one I want to test now is for maybe something like lowercase letter or uppercase letter. So how do we do that? We can work on this pattern again right here. So to get the lowercase letter right there, let's just basically, if we take a look in here, I think we just basically need to, we're going to have to change this quite a little bit. I'm going to just take away this D right here, and I'm going to just we're gonna need a lowercase p letter right here, and then we can go ahead and throw in our curly brackets. Then within this curly bracket, we're gonna need lowercase letter l and uppercase letter L and then lowercase letter l right there, and that's just basically gonna be able to do this stuff for us. All right, so if we want to, let's work on this part. Let's say lower case letter was not found, and down here we can just say lower case letter found, something of that nature. All right, so let's save the changes right here and then try to test that in our browser. So right here we'll just do code kinder, and then we'll hit on submit, and it says that lowercase letter was not found, and that's really true. So if I do code kinder, there are a ton of lowercase letters right here, and I hit on submit, and it says lowercase letter found. So that's cool. All right, so you can also adapt the same pattern for the what is it called, if you want to use uppercase letters, guys. So let's just take this first of all, just put that right up here, and you can just say for this is lowercase. So for the uppercase letter, all we need to do is to just change this L right here to U, and that's just going to help us for the uppercase letter. So if we save the changes, I think we need to say uppercase letter was not found, and we can just say upper. This is going to be uppercase letter was really found. So if we save the changes right here, I want to test that. So within here, let's refresh, and let's say we do code kinder. There's no uppercase letter in here. So if we hit on, let's take away 1D. If you hit on submit, you see that uppercase letter was not found. But in a situation where we do code, let's say change this to E, anywhere you put that uppercase letter, it's just basically going to find this. So let's hit on submit. Let's say that uppercase letter was really found. Now, the last one I want to do is going to be for the special characters, right? So let's put this in here, and we can just do. So to test for the special characters right here, we also just basically need to modify this pattern right here. All right, so for the special characters right here, let's just try to, I'm going to just modify that from here to this particular part. I think also we need to take away this, I want to just take this away and also take this away. So we're basically going to need square brackets right here. All right, we're going to use that to wrap around the special characters we want to kind of explain right here. So within here, we're going to need, I will just have to put a W right here, do a backslash, and I can go ahead and just put S right here for the special character right here. And I think that should just basically kind of do it. This should be enough for the special characters right there. And let's save the changes, guys. And within here, we can just say special. I'm gonna just do Charles right here for characters was not found, and I'm gonna just do special Charles. Let me copy this, put that right here, and that this is gonna mean special Charles letter was found, something of that nature. All right, I'm gonna just save the changes, and then if we go back right here, let's refresh, and if I do, let's say code, it isn't actually found. So if we hit or submit, it says special character Charles letter was not found. But if I do code and I put any of these special characters and I hit on submit, and special child letter was not found, supposed to find that this time around. Still reporting the same error. So let's take a look at that and see why that is just still reporting that error. So if we take a look in here, okay, I think we missed something right here. We missed this this symbol right here, and then a backward slash like this. So let's save the changes, and that's just gonna make up for that part. So if we hit on submit, okay, we need to type that. Let's refresh here first of all, and if I do code, just put any special character right then submit, and you see that special character charge later was found. So that's fine, you know. So I think we have really tested for all of the stuff just one after the other, and I believe I've just done justice to this right here. So what I'm going to do is just copy this and then put that right here just for your study at a later time. So just do this and just say tested just like that. Now what I want to do is to combine all of these things that we have just done right here into the same line, and then make use of that for the rest of the thing we just basically want to do in this video. So to combine all of these, we do have the special character right here. As of this particular point in time, that is this one. So we can go for, let's go for the uppercase letter. I'm going to copy this, copy that, and we can go ahead and put that just right here. After this, we can just go ahead and paste that, and after that we can also go for the lowercase letter right here. So I'm going to copy this and put that right here, and after that we also need the digits. So I'm going to just copy this and then put that right here, and the last one is going to be for this particular one, which is just basically for the length. So I'm going to just copy that, and we can put that maybe right here. All right, so all of these are just basically found within our coding environment right here, so we should be able to just be fine with what we want to do right here. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and then I'm going to create a variable right here. Now that I've included all of the pattern, let's call this password underscore ERR. You can set that to the following message. So we can, So we can just basically just say something like password must. So I think it's really better for me to just copy and paste that text instead of wasting time. So I've just said that the password must be at least 8 characters and must contain one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and one special character. Alright, so we can even use something like our paragraph tag to be able to print this out. So if we want to, so that it can just assume the error that we do have on our form, alright? So because we wrote a CSS before now, so let's do this. So I'm gonna just give this a class, and let's say that the class is actually gonna be error. So we'll do error right here, and that should just be fine, except that we need to close the tag right here. So that's just the stuff in there. So we need to look for a way to print out this in our form. So if we check our form, we can just look for a way to print that out, maybe above or just wherever. So we can just do let's use PHP right here. We can just do echo, and I want to basically echo out that particular variable. And by default, this will be reporting an error, because if I save the changes right here and then refresh, we're going to be having syntax error unexpected token this on line 22. So that should be coming from on line 22. Let's check. Line 22 is actually here. So we have not, okay, we haven't actually terminated this. So let's terminate this line, save the changes, and if we refresh, we should see another error right here, this kind of error. And that's because we haven't actually defined this variable called a password above. So let's do that. We'll just basically put that at the top right here, set that to empty strings. So by default it doesn't have anything, but anytime we have an error, it's going to go ahead and then prefix the error right there. So if we do anything right here, let's see, I can just do code kinder, and then we'll hit on submit. You see that it reports the error right here because that password is not actually correct. But in a situation, anytime, let's say, even if it's up to 8 character, no special character right here, it's still going to just basically report that error. But if we meet the changes right here, I'm going to just do code kinder 1, 2, 3 and put this $sign. You see that it works just fine, right? So, and that means that it just basically passed. So we want to look for a way to kind of print a message out right here, maybe a positive message or something of that nature. So to do that, it's going to be very simple, and we can just basically say something like this could be a paragraph. So let's put paragraph right here. So I will just give that a class, call that, let's call it success. Of course, we already have such a class in our CSS. Close this down here, paragraph, and we can just say password is, I don't know what we used earlier before now. Maybe I'm going to just look for a way to copy the text and try to do that. Let's do code and then hit on submit, and I want to just use this text. So let's copy this, go back to our working environment, and that's just basically what I want to use right here. So paste that, save the changes, and we need to create a new variable for these, or maybe we can just use the same thing so that it can always overwrite. So I'm gonna just put that right here, and that should just be fine. So let's refresh this page. We should get a green, and now you see that we have a green right here, even though we haven't actually hashed the password yet, but that's just fine. That's just the message in there. Now before we move further, I would like to use this opportunity to create a second field for the password so that we can compare the two passwords right here. So to do that, I'm going to just copy this and place that on new line, and we're just basically going to call this confirm password. And I would like to let's say we're gonna just basically give this a new name. Let's call that confirm underscore password. So let's do that, confirm underscore password, and we're going to just basically need this to capture that from the above. So if we go back to our form, and I want to copy this line and paste that down here, and this becomes confirm underscore password, and that should be, the name should be here, confirm underscore password. Remember that this is quite different from this variable right here. So this one is coming from the form, while this is just basically what I'm just really creating by myself just now. All right, I want to kind of capture this variable right here and maybe put it at the top also. Can also do the same thing for, what is it called, the We can even put all of this in the same line anyway, so there's no need even doing this separately on separate lines. So let's copy this, put that right here. I'm going to just take this away, and we can also have the other one, which is just basically a password. We can just also have that right here, just to avoid some initial errors in case you want to catch the password that they really typed into the value attribute. All right, so now that we've captured that, let's try to, we're going to have to do something right here. So I'm going to just enter something like else if part right here. So this is going to be else if, and I want to use this else if right here. Some people normally like maybe to bridge this or something of that nature. No matter whichever one you do, is just basically going to work. So let's just basically bridge that, and I want to check for a condition right here, and that's just going to be between the password and then the password confirm. So I'm going to just do let's do confirm password right here. This is going to be else password is, let's say, not equal to, all right, so that means if not exactly equal to the password confirmed, which is the one we just created right now, what do we basically want to say to the users of the application? So we can get down here and still use this variable that we got up here. All right, so we can copy that and put that right here. So we just paste that, and then we can just basically say anything we would like to say. And I'm going to just basically say something like the password do not basically match. So let's do that right here. I'm going to just put a p tag, and it's going to have a class. Set that to, this is going to be error, and you can basically get out of here, and we can just say password do not match, just like that. So we need to terminate this line right here. And every time we type the password and they do not really match, it's going to just basically report this error for us. That's just basically what that is going to do for us. We can test that. Let's try to test that out. First this, and I'm going to just do, what are we going to do now? Let's say David, 1, 2, 3, and put exclamation right there. And I'll just do the same thing right here. And I'm going to just do that. For now, let me not do the same thing right there. Let's just do this way and see whether that second error is going to print. So if we do this, you see that the two passwords do not match. But every time we are able to like put the right password right there, and they just basically match, it's going to just basically go ahead and then it's going to print the password really matched. So this is just that, guys, and I hope that you guys are really kind of enjoying this. So the next thing we can do is we can hash the password. So if we get down here, we can just basically do that down here where we're having positive results right here. It's either you hash or you go ahead and put that into the database. So let's say we want to hash the password down here. So let's create a variable and just say password, and I'm going to just do underscore. Let's just call this hash underscore password. And if you want to hash your password, we can use a method called the password underscore hash, like that. And let's terminate this line right here. So now the password we basically want to hash is going to be this first one right here. We do not like have much concern with that of the confirm password right here, so we want to focus our attention on this particular one. So let's just basically copy that, and then on getting down here, I'm going to just, that's going to be the first parameter that we're going to need. So let's paste that right here. And the second parameter is going to be the algorithm or the constant you want to use to hash that. And that's just, we can use password underscore default. I'm going to use default right here. You can use bcrypt if you want to use that. That's fine. So this is going to hash the password for us. We can look for a way to maybe print out that particular hash password right here. If you want to do that, let me just do an echo right here. Find your way to do that, but we don't actually like print this out for anybody to basically see. But for me, I'm just stop right there, refresh this, and let's do code kinder, and let's do the same thing right here, and let's go ahead and then hit or submit. You see that it validates, and then it hashed the password right here. Look at the hashed password. So this is basically what you want to put into your database, so that if anybody got access to your database, they wouldn't actually see the plain password. Rather, they will see all this kind of shady characters in your database, and then they wouldn't actually be able to like maybe just do anything with it. All right, so that's just what it is, guys. And the next thing or the last thing we want to do is to change the type. So if we get on the HTML part right here, let's change this type to password. and let's change this one to password, and let's save the changes. Then if we refresh right here, and let's see, you see that if you are typing now, it's just basically showing in this angle. All right, it's no longer displaying the plain password for you anymore. So that's just basically what it is, and I hope that this video will help a lot of you guys to maybe start working on your authentication system. And yeah, I know that it's a kind of it took a lot of time. I could have just done this within maybe 10 minutes, but I just basically want to expose everything to you guys so that you can really be familiar with that of the regular expression. And I hope that anybody who really wants to learn must have enjoyed this video. And if you did really enjoy that, all I want you to do is to just try to share this video on your timeline, all right? And give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, you can just go to the comment section. Or even if it is just to simply say thank you, you can go to the comment section and do that. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.